Welcome back to Seed Money. You've probably heard the statistic a million times that 90% of startups fail. And I feel like we are always talking about the challenges of raising funding and inventory and getting things off the ground. And it's especially true in consumer products. It's a high failure rate, no doubt about it. But today what we're going to talk about is that I believe that right now is possibly the best time ever to launch a consumer product. So in today's episode, we're going to walk through why, what the data says, and the strategic moves that you can make so that you are in the minority that succeeds. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Again, we are always talking about the challenges because there are tons of them. A single day does not go by without un montón of challenges in entrepreneurship and startups. And I would argue, especially in consumer products, it is challenging. You have a lot of things. You've got inventory costs. You've got a lot that can go wrong. I know in tech, stuff can go wrong too, but consumer products is less forgiving when things go wrong. And yes, it's risky. Yes, many fail, but there's so much opportunity out there right now. It's crazy. That's what we're going to talk about today, because I believe, especially with consumer products and where the economy is at and everything, which is honestly a giant question mark, right? To some degree, that if you're capital or margin constraint, there are still things that you can do to kind of double down and make sure that you are successful. And that is what we're going to talk about, because I think sometimes it can feel really daunting. I've been there, even just in businesses that are easier, service-based businesses. It can feel overwhelming. There's so many people doing things out there, and there's so much competition, and you always need more money. You always need more time, right? It just, there's always a need for more to make it happen. But again, I truly believe, and maybe this is my just, extra deliriously optimistic perspective on the world and on entrepreneurship, but I believe that there is not a better time than right now to start a business or launch a consumer product. So I jumped into launching my own consumer product almost 20 years ago, which is crazy. Things are so different now. There are so many challenges I had then that are just not even an issue anymore. Now, I know there are new challenges now. Things are evolving and shifting, but there really are easy ways to get things going and test a market. But we're going to actually touch on some of the data on why. The Wall Street Journal just came out with an article, Startups Are Eating Big Foods Lunch. And I love this because they are talking about smaller brands are capturing much of the growth in packaged goods. So things are shifting right now. Big companies who kind of own that middle tier of the grocery market, they're getting squeezed by private label, undercutting them costs, and then these really niche, higher end specialty products, right? So one of the main examples in the Wall Street Journal article is this comparison of Slim Jim, which we all know has been around forever and is probably made with like 9,000 different chemicals and who knows what, if it's even real, anything in there. And then you have Chomps. And you guys, Chomps, if you haven't tried them, I mean, they're at every grocery store I've seen, but it's basically like grass-fed, I think mostly natural version of a Slim Jim, right? I mean, it's crazy that that's an opportunity there. And this happens across the board, right? Poppy, the healthier soda, just sold for like $1 billion or something to Pepsi. And the reason right now is so much easier. You can develop a product, you can bring it to market pretty easily. You have Amazon, you have social media. And while I know all these things are saturated and can feel overwhelming when you actually sit down to start them, they do have much lower barriers to entry than previously when your only option was really to go to a big retailer, right? Or pay for ads or something like that. So if you're willing to just put it out there and invest a little bit of money, you can get some traction and then you go pitch investors to raise capital. So if you have an idea and you have a product and something you're passionate about, you know it's needed, I would argue that you're in a better spot if that product is going to be niche, high end, high quality, and don't be afraid to price it accordingly. I think sometimes I fell victim to this where all the retailers were telling me it's too expensive, too expensive, too expensive. You got to bring your price down, bring your price down, bring your price down. And you start making compromises. And I think that now going direct to consumer, you can avoid doing that. So there are so many benefits out there right now to having a niche product, having a higher end product, a higher quality, whatever your story is around being, unique or having different ingredients or packaging or design, or honestly, you probably need all of the above to make it really stand out. But with that, take your product, get it developed. There's tons of R&D facilities out there. It costs nothing to launch a website and start a consumer products brand these days and ship it. So you can put it on Amazon and just start small and just show some traction. Do it on the side for the next year. You'll find out really quickly if you have something with a little bit of legs. And then you can build that out into a story to go pitch investors. I really believe that right now is the best time to try to launch a product and launch a business. And you can even go international with stuff now, which is crazy. You're not even confined to the US. Okay, so some data. According to the Wall Street Journal in this article, insurgent brands, which are basically niche, newer, premium challengers to the big brands, make up less than 2% of the food and beverage and household products market. So they make up less than 2% of the volume, yet they drove 39% of incremental category growth in 2024. That is amazing, you guys. So that means small brands are punching above their weight in terms of influence and growth, capturing growth, and those big brands are losing. So again, there is a real shot for you to do this and to kind of make it happen. In markets like snacks, nearly all the growth over the past year has gone to upstarts rather than the big legacy brands. On the lower end, you have like budget conscious consumers who are turning again to private labels and store brands for price advantage, and you can't compete in that space. So if you're going to do something, do it premium. You've got the more affluent, trend conscious buyers, and they're migrating even more towards unique, premium, niche, mission-led, smaller brands. So again, people have been doing this for, the last 20, 30 years. But right now, which is kind of ironic because we all are hearing things about like prices going up and blah, 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 but there's still a lot of opportunity to do this. You've got, like I said, the digital platforms, Amazon, direct to consumer, other marketplaces, influencers who are selling products now. They're going to give you access to a wider reach without needing shelf space and retailer approval, which are really tough to get. Even, events, and I know social media is like such an annoying buzzword that we all are so sick of hearing, but YouTube, start a podcast on whatever your mission is. Like there's other ways. Find the version of social media that you're comfortable with and then lean into that 100%. Like I hate regular social media, but I love doing the podcast. So find whatever channel is comfortable for you and then lean into that. And you can scale that a lot faster than you can expensive ads. Honestly, who knows where the heck they end up. You've got contract manufacturers, co-packing facilities, micro-fulfillment facilities, low minimums. I just got something made the other day. I'll talk about this later. I'm not really announcing it quite yet. But I can get this product made on demand, one-offs. I order one and then all the rest I can have done on demand. Like it's crazy. That just didn't exist. Like again, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have had to have bought, a minimum of like 500 pieces, something like that. So there's so many different options. And yes, you might have more people doing it because it is easier. But the people who stick with it and are strategic and have a good sense for quality and design and materials or ingredients, there is room to stand out and rise above the rest. And I'm even finding this in my company right now, right? So I have a hospitality company, and we've been able to stand out from the traditional companies in this industry who don't leverage technology, who don't have a focused kind of audience or customer base. And it's a super old school industry. And we've been able to stand out by staying more niche, more focused, high end, leveraging technology. So it is totally doable in not just consumer products, but across the board in a lot of different places right now. So bottom line, yes, startups fail, although it is never a waste of experience. Speaking from experience, but the playing field is shifting in your favor. And if you execute smart with strategy and the right niche and stay lean and develop a good story showing traction, you are going to be in a great spot to then go and raise seed money to take it to the next level. And then once you do that, then you go into retail and do all that other stuff. If you have an idea, you can prove your concept without a ton of money and show some traction much easier than you could have 10 years ago. So all that to say, it's just a reminder, you do not need to be a mass brand from day one. I think that a lot of people I talk to, we get into this space where we are doing what we think we should be doing, especially in consumer products. It's like, I've got to be at a bunch of retailers and I've got to raise millions of dollars. That just isn't necessarily true. And I think one way to frame it is like, yes, it would be wonderful to grow your company and sell it for $1 billion, right? Nothing wrong with that. Sweet for anybody who does that. However, if you are in the grind, in the thick of it, you need money, you feel like you've got so far to go before you get there, there's so much flexibility in between. And I think it's on how you frame it. So instead of focusing on, I've got to get to, 200 million to be able to sell or whatever that number is that you feel like, and I've got to raise millions of dollars to get there. What if you were able to just have a $5 million company and pay yourself a really good salary? So what's your in-between metric? Because if you reach that point and you are profitable, you're going to have so many more options to raise that next level of funding and get to the 100 million spot, if that's what you want to do, right? So I think often we start off too early looking at the big exit. Now, you could argue both ways, right? On the one hand, you could say you got to have that vision and hold on to it and work towards it. Yes. But sometimes it can feel like forever to get there and it can be really daunting. And if you said to yourself, hey, I'm going to get this to 5 million or 2 million or 1 million, and I'm going to try to get there in a profitable way. Oh my God, I wish somebody had told me that when I launched my consumer product brand. And I'm going to reach it profitably. And the self-confidence you get from that is just amazing when you have something that is profitable. It's like night and day. Why not focus on profitability early? And then your story going to investors is going to be so much stronger than half the other companies out there. So again, I think right now it is such a good time to launch a product, to test it, stay lean, stay niche, focus on, again, if you're in the consumer product space, high end, being unique, standing out, finding your core customer group and building traction with them. And then paint that story to go out as a platform to go raise money from investors. So all that to say, I just wanted to point out, since we are always talking about the challenges in the startup space, I also truly believe there is so much opportunity right now, and it's never been easier. So if you are sitting on the sidelines, waiting to get started and just aren't sure how, just do it. It's a great time. Somebody's got to be that successful minority, and it may as well be you. And I think with the right strategy and tactics and focus, I think focus is the big one, you can totally be that person. So go after it Again, would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or I can help in any way, reach out to me either on LinkedIn or hello@seedmoneypodcast.com. See you next time.